Good evening, everybody. How are you? Welcome, 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 and thanks for sticking around. Um, and wow, this is great. Hmm, ginger ale, very, very refreshing to have on a Sunday night going into well, really, if you're on the East Coast, it's actually 12:45 in the morning. 12:45 in the morning. Wow, is that right? It says 04 Monday 045. Yeah, that's right. Which means we'll see if I started at, boy, that's something else. Because if I started, it's almost 10 o'clock there. Yeah. Uh, okay. All these days are blurring uh, because a lot's going on. Been taking care of a lot of stuff, signing up a lot of people. It's a lot of good news. We've got some great vloggers on this channel. Earlier, we had Jessica Dwyer held a live stream about the Joker movie, which if you haven't seen it, we all have. It's wow, crazy. Then Vinny Lospinoso did his first vlog on Thursday night after the epic Nationals game against the Dodgers, right? And haven't seen Donald Richardson in a while. Richard Hyde did some A's related great stuff the week before and some other vlogs. So we've got a good group of vloggers that we're developing, and gonna keep that going. I like that. So, what a heck of a day! Let me start off by going over some of the stuff that happened in NFL week and uh, just laying out the Chiefs are in trouble, and the question is, what's wrong? And I'll say very quickly that a number of teams have caught up to the act of the Kansas City Chiefs, and the type of defensive approach that worked against the LA Rams that was as applied by the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. That is basically bringing your linebackers up close and playing a lot more wide tackle six style. Hey, Joseph Emenders, how you doing? Another great vlogger, by the way, who did a great review of the Joker, Joseph Emenders, on Zennie62. How you doing, Joseph? But I digress. At any rate, a lot of teams are catching up to the way the style of the Chiefs that and certain approaches they even instilled this year, like for example, putting a running back or wide receiver in motion, uh, but then having the running back circle across, very much like what we see if you watch Auburn football and their offensive approach that has been employed there for some time, right? Um, West Virginia has used that style. It's a college. It's another staple of college offense, and I say it like that to point not just out that fact, but also to point to a great blog post that is in Oakland News now by David Squires, another Zennie62 blogger of long note, going back to 2010. He wrote a post that basically explains how it is that the college passing offenses came to overtake NFL offenses in complexity. It's really a great piece. What 3,000 words or something? It takes you to the span of history. He just put it up Sunday today. Please check it out. But and so much respect for everybody. Son Juco says KC can't play versus man coverage, shuts them down. Right. But I'm glad you pointed that out. It's that same man coverage that allows the closer, tighter play on defense uh, that allows the jet sweeps and the outside plays to be not so much stop but slow down. You're making sure that you got a hat on a guy, that you're not left in a position where somebody is wide open, unattended, or you can't at least chase them out down and thereby give up a short gain as opposed to a long gain in the past, right? Or a medium range gain like 22 yards or something like that. Um, the Chiefs are going to get their big plays because That's what they practice. But they're getting less of them. And not only that, their defense. Look, I'm sorry. It's not just their offense. Frederick Williams does point out that Casey's offense is out of sync, but we have to point out that you lose great defenders like Justin Houston. You've got which was certainly the case. The Chiefs. I'm actually typing down some stats here. The Chiefs basically have put themselves in a place where when they let go of Justin Houston, this man right here, I think this is the real key to why they're turning out the way they are. And he's with the Colts now. All right, he really was a force in the Colts' victory against the Kansas City Chiefs. You see what color he's wearing, right? Because he was a Chief for some time. That was a big loss. And I remember that during the Colts game on Monday Night Football, remember when Hughes made that tackle and he gets up and he kind of shrugs his shoulders like this, like, oh, well, right? But Sunday Night Football, he does this, right? Like, hey, you gave up on me. That scene right there. It tells you all you need to know about the Chiefs' fortunes and why they went nosedive. Old saying, folks. You know it. You know it as well as I do. And Frederick Williams points out the whole thing about the sprained ankle, but I don't think that's it, okay? Say it with me now. Offense sells tickets, but defense does what? Defense does what? Defense does what? It wins championships. That's right. Offense sells tickets. Defense wins championships. So what happens when you let go of a Justin Houston? You're letting him go of those people that got you to where you want to be, right? That's what's happening. Let me read your comments. Joseph Arandura says, hey, everyone. Let me go right through the comments as they come up here. Son Joker says, Casey can't play versus man coverage, shuts them down. Frederick Williams says, how about them Cowboys? Frederick Williams says, Casey's offense is out of sync. Rolling Dubs says, NFL coaches are calling college coaches discussing schemes and offensive formations. NFL playbooks are beginning to open up. Yep. Sanjoku says Mahomes is hurt. Pride and Purpose says KC100 doesn't have a solid running game. Freddie Williams says Mahomes is a sprained ankle. Oh no. Sanjoku says it's slowing him down. Jack Bauer says let go D Ford. Jack Bauer says let go Houston. Yep, that's right. Said it better than I did, Jack Bauer. Doug Davis says knew the whole offense. ... Jack Bauer says no running game. They miss Kareem Hunt. And you know what? It's not only just that they miss Kareem Hunt, but something about their offense, that flair. I was going to say the flair is gone. I started to break out in song. The thrill is gone. The thrill is gone away. But the flow is gone. Those neat, flowing rollout plays and kind of fake read option plays that they teased us with and showed us last year. Not there. Doug Davis says, like playing John Gruden in the Super Bowl. Cowboy Rusher says, I'm not buying the Raiders yet. Now, if they win at Green Bay next week, we can talk. Yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders would have to win 2 games. And here's the thing, okay? The Raiders' story would be even cooler were it not for the fact that the 49ers are now 5-0. And I'm not ready at all to anoint the 49ers the comeback kings yet until they reach, headed for the Super Bowl, until they reach 8-0. If the 49ers rattle off 3 more wins, then we have to start talking about the Niners as the NFC champion favorite. Because they already, they walked into the lair of the NFC champion Rams, and they not only knocked them off, they beat the crap out of them. Let's face it. That 49ers defense Reminded me of the 49er defense of the Ronnie Lott days. Okay, they hit people. They're fast. And Jack Bauer, reading your comments now. Roland Dove says Final Four playoff teams last year were all ranked in the top 5 in offense. That's true, but those teams that were ranked in the top 5 in offense do not have slouch defenses. I mean, let's not get carried away. Okay, you can't find one that had a defense that was rock bottom. You can't say, okay, a top 5 offense, but the offense is so good, but their defense was rock bottom. You know, I mean, I don't believe that's ever, no, and let me strike that. That has never happened in the history of the league where you had a Super Bowl champion with a bottom ranked defense. Never. You've never had a Super Bowl champion that had a bottom ranked defense, like the lower 5. Okay, they're not there. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? You have to have a defense that can get you the stops when you need them, can take away the offensive strength, the opposing offensive strength, of course. At any rate, Roland Dub says that Final Four playoffs team last year all ranked in top 5 in offense, but check their defensive rankings. Because look, the top 5 in offense, Tampa was one of them. They didn't make it. Okay. Hey, welcome to Zennie62, everybody. Freddie Williams says Sammy Watkins didn't play hurt the Chiefs' chances. Jack Bauer says KC can still come by because the players bit scheme wise are not fooling anyone. All right. Son Joku says KC loses to Denver on the short week. That's your prediction. Woo! Woo! Cowboy Wrestlers Rams are done. Cowboy Wrestlers, I thought Sean McVay was a genius. I didn't. I think that Sean McVay is, one thing I've observed in covering the league and being acquainted with a number of people in the league for this long is that I'm not going to name names because I don't want someone to take this the wrong way, but some head coaches get their jobs because they're very good. They're very good. They're experts at telling you what you want to hear. All right? They are politicians. They're the kind of person who's the great house guest that can sit at the dining room table full of argumentative family and find the right thing to say so that everybody at the table loves them. And you have to remember that some of these coaches in college were just that. They're college coaches and great recruiters, right? So they knew how to work the living room. And that translates into getting a job at the NFL level as a head coach. You want to make the owner happy. You want to have the owner see some of that person's self in you, or have their best self reflected in you. And to do that, you have to sell. And I haven't met a single head coach in the NFL that wasn't a good salesperson. It didn't matter. Everybody has a different way, right? Maybe it's the bravado of John Gruden, the youthful bravado that still comes out, middle age. Or maybe it's guys like Sean McVay who, you could tell his wheels are always turning with the one comment to say to make you think that he is in your mental wheelhouse. And I haven't talked to him much long, but I have talked with him, and he really makes you believe that he is listening to you. And I'm not saying he isn't, but it's one thing for a person to listen to you, but it's something else for a person to communicate that they're listening to by their gestures and by their response and everything else, okay? So, McVay has that down. So the genius part, I think, comes by people who really don't know football. And that's a lot of people in the media. All right, let me move forward because I don't want to miss your comments. And Cowboy says, look, at the end of the day, we know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Patriots. Joseph Amandura says, I believe it was said that every team that has won the London game has made the playoffs. Go Raiders. I didn't know that. You should check that out. Don't trust that. Go check the stats. Never. Don't believe what people say if their numbers for you to check. This is the internet age. Just check it out, man. Jack Bauer says, oh, Cowboy Rush says, all of a sudden that Texans game looks very tough for the Raiders. You think? Watson is playing great right now. Sure as heck is. Hey, they've had 2 wins that earlier this year most people thought they wouldn't get. Keep that in mind, right? Osmond Dias 714 says Josh Jacobs is key against the pack. Feed him the ball. Doug Davis says, what do you think about the crowd at StubHub tonight? Hey, do you realize that the Chargers are $333 million short in PSL sales for the Inglewood Stadium? The Chargers pay what, a dollar rent, or slated to pay $1 rent there? They're basically going to wind up being a cost causer, because if they go in next year not winning games, look at the nightmare scenario. They're not winning games, okay? They're not burning up any place with jersey sales. Jersey sales are not going to jump up because they switched stadiums. Jersey sales are that kind of thing that is insensitive to location. In other words, the better you do on the field, the more your jersey sales go up. Your jersey sales don't go up just because you built a new stadium. It doesn't work like that. So, okay, so the Chargers' jersey sales don't go up. Their record sucks. They basically are in this position where people in LA don't want to see them. 60% of the people that I polled in my unofficial, unscientific Zennie Abraham poll while I was there for Comic-Con told me they'd love to have the Chargers back. I think that says something. And I was credentialed to go to a league meeting, but I'm on the fence because of some matters here that I have to take care of that have popped up. And that just have to do with taking care of, family matters, right? So my mom's in better health, thank you very much. It's not that at all. But I am the only child, and I have a responsibility here. So, at any rate, but if things change, you'll know it because you'll see me in Fort Lauderdale. Anyway, either there because you'll be there, or you'll be watching me here. Whatever the case. All right. Doug Davis says, Cowboy Rush says, Doug Davis, it was expected. Chargers and the Rams still have a long way to go in LA. And Frederick Williams observes, it seems like Jared Goff has regressed a bit as well. He hasn't been the same. This is Fred Williams. I'm reading the comment over here. See, look, just a reminder. Okay, that's what I'm reading. Okay, Frederick Williams says, it seems like Jared Goff has regressed a bit as well. He hasn't been the same since the Super Bowl, and he has also been erratic. And Cowboy Wrestler says to Doug Davis up here, Doug Davis, it was expected. Chargers and the Rams have a long way to go in LA. Doug Davis says, that's so embarrassing for the Chargers and the NFL. And Cowboy Wrestler says, the only that would save the Chargers in LA is a Lombardi. And quite frankly, that's not happening anytime soon. I agree. Pride and Purpose says Josh Juggernaut Jacobs for Rookie of the Year. Cowboy Wrestler says Chargers need to go back to San Diego. I'm sorry. Nothing against Josh Jacobs when I say what I'm about to say, but I challenge you to disagree with me. The Rookie of the Year is Kyler Murray. Straight up. He's already won 2 games. He is piloting... Let's be honest, okay? He's piloting the Arizona Cardinals and putting up numbers that at times are freakish. They had 300 yards total offense in the first half alone. He and Cliff Kingsbury are like Mutt and Jeff, coaching and running that team on the offense, right? And running the team in general. You got to love that pair. I enjoy watching the Cardinal offense in action. I really think it's something else. Cowboy Wrestler says Chargers need to go back to San Diego. And then Cowboy Wrestler asked me about Dan Quinn in Atlanta. Look, I personally like Coach Quinn. I know Coach Quinn. I love the person that Coach Quinn is. But yes, there is, as Cowboy Wrestler asked, there is a Dan Quinn watch in Atlanta. And that's why this title reads if you didn't notice it before, Oakland Raiders catch KC Chiefs. What does that say? Atlanta Falcons in trouble. Atlanta Falcons in trouble. Okay, and it reads that because, look, the Falcons have won one game and they've lost four. And it wasn't supposed to go this way. And the Frederick Williams remarks, I knew Kyler Murray was going to be something special, but the Cardinals defense needs to be fixed badly. Yeah, the Cardinals, what the Cardinals defense suffers from? Leucitis. It's that particularly annoying disease of defensive coordinators. They feel like they have to put their linebackers way off the ball, like 4 yards or sometimes 5 yards off the ball, hang up him, and then they say, okay, you defend the run, and they call that the second level. You know what? I don't call that the second level. You know what I call that? I call that the stupid level. Hey, I call that the stupid level. Why? Because you're giving up 4 yards plus, and you're allowing a hard-charging offensive lineman to basically hit you pads lower than yours after getting a 4-yard head of steam to clobber you. That's stupid, okay? So whoever initiated this disease, this bad defense disease, needs to stop it. They need to get some type of medication, something, some sedative, something that takes them out of that garbage set of alignments they do that has impacted and has been the number one explanation for bad play and bad records in every place from Tampa to San Diego, coast to coast. Hey, how can you expect to win a game in London and you're the Bucks and you don't even chuck a single wide receiver tight end off the line of scrimmage? Oh, and the one time that you did get the message, you were stupid enough, and I'm saying it just like this, the Bucks were stupid enough to play a press man and no blitz. What? I mean, all the rest of the defense is normal, like the loose. They're not even chucking the tight end, but you got the quarterback playing press man on the outside, on the 10, leaving him ripe for a lob into the corner of the end zone touchdown pass, and you're not going to blitz? That's stupid. It just is. I'm sorry. I don't care how you feel about my saying it like that, because it's true. You know it's true. You know that it's true. At any rate, reading your comments now. And, okay. Rolling Dub says, Falcons need an offensive coordinator as head coach. Cowboy Rush says, what about the Bucks? Did not expect the Panthers to win that game. That's what I was talking about. And it wasn't Jameis' fault, okay? Jameis, look, you want to know why Kyle Allen is doing so well with the Panthers? Because Kyle Allen, hold on a second. The Atlanta Falcons just tweeted something here. Let me see what the Falcons just tweeted. Just happened a second ago. Atlanta Falcons. Just going to drop this here. They are trolling. Oh, wait a minute. No, they're being trolled. Okay. The Falcons were being trolled. Retweet. Well, that's a mystery. Maybe it was a reply. I don't know. That's weird. I got this note that the Atlanta Falcons tweeted something out as if it was a minute ago, but it wasn't. It was 3 hours ago. Okay. At any rate, point that I'm making is going back to is actually reading your comments here. What makes Kyle Allen so good is that he runs a play as if you draw it up. You draw up a play expecting a receiver to be open, and in actual practice, that receiver is open. Kyle Allen will hit him. Kyle Allen also has the gift of North Turner and what I call logical football. Hey, the defense is playing zone, fine. run underneath patterns to exploit the space in the zone between where the first level of people are, linebackers, and the line of scrimmage, right? Exploit that. By contrast, did the opponent's Bucks do that? No. They ran their receivers right into the teeth of the defense. And it wasn't to draw off the coverage and then, bring it back underneath, a la Bill Walsh, right? Oh, no. Not at all. They would leave their backs in the block, and the backs would flare out like at the last possible second. And so what happens is Jameis is stuck there, and Gerald McCoy, according to told Pro Football Talk, hey, I told them that Jameis Winston likes to step up in the pocket, so make him, do what? Not do that. All the Buccaneers had to do to counter that, a very simple thing. And I mentioned this during the game. This isn't something I came up with after the game. I'm watching the game and I'm commenting, hey, they need to roll Jameis out. Because when you have a pass pocket and your opponent is collapsing it, guess what? Think out of the box. Take the box that is the pocket away from the opponent. Roll your quarterback out here, there, okay? The Bucks did that at the goal line twice. That's it. No sprint passes between the 25s. No rollouts. All right, let's get back to the Falcons, okay? In a second, I'm going to get your comments, and then I'll come back and I'll focus more on the Falcons because I have not started to talk about the Falcons' annoying defense. And then I'll get back to the Raiders, all right? I got all comers here because I'm going to talk about the one way the Raiders can beat the Packers. And no, it's not Josh Jacobs, but hold on a second. But let's play a role in it. Now, getting to your comments. In fact, read them with me. Ding. Cowboy Wrestler says, shout out to my man, Teddy Bridgewater, for holding the fort down in New Orleans. Pride and purposes, Cowboy Wrestler. I agree. Teddy Bridgewater is playing solid. Great comeback story. Cowboy Wrestler says, oh my God, what about Christian McCaffrey? Stanford. Pride and purpose says, will Cam Newton be on a new team next year? No. Cowboy Wrestler says, pride and purpose, I don't believe so. Freddie Williams says, it's one thing Jameis Winston is being questioned, but now Marcus Mariota's leadership is being questioned. Well, that was sticking out there because he's a quiet guy, and not only that, he sulks a lot. Cowboy Wrestler says, Freddie Williams, that's right, he got benched today. Ooh, I missed that game. Talking about, well, Jameis Winston didn't get benched. They're talking about Mariota. Prime Purpose says Jameis Winston needs an O-line in front of him. He needs smart plays. The O-line is good. They just are asked to do stupid things. Roland Dub says, what about Dallas Cowboys players not slapping Jason Garrett's hand? They were mad because they have a bad game plan. I mean, the Cowboys, Jason Garrett, great guy. This is nothing personal. It's only business, all right? But he's a very nice man. And again, he's one of those folks that when you talk to him, he understands how to convince you that he's a great leader of your organization. And look, he has been, but he hasn't gotten them. He's a coach killer, all right? He's a person just good enough to get you occasionally to the playoffs. And in Jason Garrett's case, that's not every year by any stretch of the imagination. But he's that face you want, I'm thinking like Jerry Jones thinks, okay? But he's not, and he's not that. He's also not this personality, if you think about it. Jason Garrett is not that personality that Jerry Jones was prone to bring in that sort of upstage his own personality, right? That was bigger than him. And I think bringing in Jason Garrett showed the maturation of Jerry Jones as an owner, where he didn't get a head coach that had a big personality, but he got one who knew basic X's and O's, how to communicate, and with different people. He was multi-generational, right? That's Jason Garrett. If you ever met him, he's that guy. Okay. Um, everybody loves him. Okay. And he's a very easy man to like. Okay. Uh, but he's not the person that you would attach because he hasn't done it. Not that he can't, but you wouldn't attach football innovation to him. Okay. And you need that to win today. That's the problem. Why do I keep saying okay all of a sudden? Where did I get that? Okay. I'm just choosing my words. At any rate, uh, Cowboy Wrestler says, I think Garrett is on the verge of losing the locker room down here in Dallas. Frederick Williams says, Cowboy Wrestler, I shouldn't be surprised that Mariota's a quiet guy to a fault. Frederick Williams, that's the comment of the night. I completely agree with you. Doug Davis says, I've always said a good head coach is worth 3 or 4 games a year. I think a good head coach is worth a season. Look at Bill Belichick, okay? Look at what Bill is doing, and really arguably should get Coach of the Year for how he has guided the Patriots to this point where they're 6-0, and yet there's no one other than Tom Brady who's dominating. They're doing this without offensive stars now. Say for Julian Edelman, right? They're doing this, and Shirley Michelle's young. They're doing this without bona fide defensive, Jason Collins, without a lot of bona fide, heavy hitting defensive stars. A lot of guys who play solid. And the Patriots did a great job of keeping guys like Collins, who is one of the best pure defensive athletes in the NFL, on their team, right? But when you think of the New England Patriots, you really have to struggle to come up with the top 10. Okay? 5, 6, yeah, maybe names. But 10, nah, other teams you can do that. Okay? But the Patriots, for as well as they're known as a group, for their record, the Patriots are not dominated by a whole bunch of stars. Let's face it, they're just not. They're dominated by a bunch of guys whose names you don't know. And that is a testament to the coaching acumen of Bill Belichick. So you would say, Doug Davis, head coach is worth 3 or 4 games. I give you Bill Belichick. I agree he's worth half a season. All right. Roland Dub says Falcons and Cowboys should switch head coaching positions. Cowboy says silent Marcusi. Silent Marcus. Marcus' problem is when I didn't see the game today, but when things don't go well for him, he sulks. You ever notice that? His shoulders get droopy, his head goes down. It's like his body language, his whole body language. I don't know if he did that in the game. You can tell me, please. But his body language, does body language just sink? Like, oh, I can't do this. And you know what? He got benched, you're telling me. So that means that means that the Titans did what I thought they were going to do when they got Ryan Tannehill. They brought him in as a bench tool. Sit on the bench until we need you. Ding. Okay, remember that? Wow. Roland Dub says, Raiders chose Gruden the first time over Bill Belichick for head coach. What could have been? Yeah. Well, but you know what though? I don't think I think things happen for a reason. Bill Belichick would not have lost. I don't think he would have lasted with Al Davis. Okay? And the reason why I don't is because Bill has always been this kind of intellectual eccentric, you know what I mean? In a way. And I don't think that style matches with with the late Al Davis, okay? The perfect guy for Al Davis's head coach was John Madden. John Madden was the everyman in appearance whose affable nature was a perfect mask for an excellent football mind. Okay? Very casual intellect. And that kind of person has always seemed to relate well to Al Davis. So, at any rate, and I don't regard Bill Belichick as a casual intellect by any means. And I'm not saying like he's got some calculus and all that sort of thing. But Bill's the kind of guy who he doesn't suffer football fools gladly. All right. Now, yeah, you can talk, politics, everything else with him, but he's not that kind of guy. He's not a John Madden kind of guy. He's not a guy you're going to find he's going to wind up doing television and having all these quips and statements and everything later in life. Okay, so they're going and saying, okay, where am I getting that from? There's somebody I'm thinking of that used to say okay a lot who I knew, and that person's in my head. Isn't that funny how that works? But at any rate, whatever. Cowboy says, I don't think Al Davis would have given Bill the control he has of the Patriots. No, not at all. Not at all. I think you said it. I think you said what I was trying to say better than I could say it. Roland Dub says, that's a fact. Bill could have never had the control he needed with Al. Doug Davis says, my gosh, what would any team give to almost have 6 wins starting the season? Hey, I'm telling you, 8 wins is the mark. They rattle off 8 straight. You can pencil them in for the playoffs, the Super Bowl, baby. Because in my lifetime, every team that's rattled off 8 straight was steamrolling their way. And they were headed there. Okay? Now, as I recall, I think it was 2 years ago, the Rams were on that tear. All right? They didn't get quite as far as one would think they should have. But hey, look, they got into the playoffs. In other words, you can red line them in. They're in. Boom. That's it. Red line or green line them in? What line do you? Maybe yellow line them in. Okay. Frederick Davis says Al Davis is a maverick for sure. Cowboy Wrestler says, as the old saying goes, never bet against the Patriots. Frederick William asked this question. What do you think of the Baltimore Ravens' playoff chances? Sky's the limit. I think they could. I think the Ravens are that team, that can really sneak up on you in a schematic way. Consider that Lamar Jackson had 123 yards rushing, right? On top of 236 yards passing. That's what? 388 yards total offense from one person? Ooh. So what do you say? Well, we'll defend that. We'll play run defense. Lamar Jackson proved the first game out, he's very capable of throwing it, that he and his offensive coordinator are very capable of deciding if they will execute a game plan that consists strictly of him throwing the ball over your head. He proved that. So now, in the last 2 games, he proves what, hey, people were saying he was last year, that he's a running back at quarterback. So think about how damaging that is to a defense. Think about how damaging that is in an NFL that relies on pattern modeling analysis. And you would say, what the heck does Zennie mean? What I'm about to explain to you is the key reason why some teams lose and why some teams win. Why the Patriots are always successful and why most teams are not. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is a key reason why the late Tony Sparano coached Miami Dolphins in 2011 blew the New England Patriots out of the stadium with something called the Wildcat. The Patriots, being the ultimate pattern modelers, didn't expect that pattern to show up in the data. And you would say, what the heck is Zennie talking about? What I'm saying is this. It doesn't matter how big your research staff is. If the research staff is only looking at what teams have done in the past and has zero clue they're going to play a Wildcat in the game coming up, let alone know what they're going to do out of it, guess who wins? I present to you the Miami Dolphins. And you would say, what does that have to do with Lamar Jackson? And my answer would be to you, everything. Here is why. Because you say, I'm going to stop Lamar Jackson, the runner. So you establish your defense that stops Lamar Jackson, the runner, and says, I'm going to put the ball in his hands as a passer. And so you decide that he is going to do that, and he does. But then the Ravens offensive coaches say, hey, you know what? We're going to roll Lamar Jackson out to a point, have him stop and throw. Misdirection passes across the field, and then we're not doing that. We're going to give it to our running back. Since you're so busy chasing him one way, we're going to have him go one way, give it to the running back going the other. We're going to trap block you going that direction, and we're going to pick up the 5 or 6 yards we need, and maybe we'll break it for a longer gain. That's why. You're so busy trying to figure out what they're going to do with him that you run the danger of overcompensating one way only for the offense to adjust and take advantage of something that you're not doing the other way because they have the weapon, Lamar Jackson, to be adjustable that way. That, folks, makes the Baltimore Ravens an exceptionally dangerous team. The most dangerous team in the NFL outside of Kyler Murray. Why do I say that? Because Kyler Murray is a lethal passing weapon on wheels. Lamar Jackson is close, but he runs a different scheme. But Kyler Murray runs a scheme that he's been playing in for a long time. When Kyler Murray steps on the field, he has that thing in his head. It's like Tony Stark becoming Iron Man, right? He wears that offense as a suit. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It really is. He is, it's like Tony Stark is Iron Man. Iron Man is Tony Stark. Kyler Murray is the Cliff Kingsbury air raid. Cliff air raid is Kyler Murray. Okay? I'm not taking anything away from anybody else because during the preseason, their backups ran the offense really well too, which shows how good, I think great, a coach Cliff Kingsbury is. And yeah, I've criticized how fast he rose because, hey, good-looking white guy who knows an exotic offense, smart, okay, but he didn't win, and yet they gave him the keys, okay? So show me one example. There is only one example emerging of a good-looking black guy, okay, who's smart and knows offense, and that's Kevin Sumlin at Arizona. I say it because Kevin wasn't doing that well, but they gave him a $10 million contract based on what he did at Texas A&M, which was mostly win. Comparing, okay, all right. That also means society is getting better when we have a situation where you can find a black guy to compare like that. Isn't that cool? Think about it. Okay, yes, that's got to make you smile. You got to smile about that. You got to love this country, man. All right. So, getting back to your comments. Sean Watson is here. How you doing, Sean? Roland Dub says, so Freddie Williams, there's my answer to your question. Roland Dub says, Raiders still need a number one wide receiver. They keep trying to find one. I argue that Raiders need to create one. And you create one by scheme. Riddle me this. Had you ever heard of Julian Edelman before he played with the New England Patriots? Answer, no. You see what I'm getting at? All right, and Julian Edelman wasn't one of these guys that came out like the first 20 picks of the NFL draft either. What about Wes Welker, okay? So, I mean, you can go through the league and find a number of great wide receivers who are not highly drafted. Look at Chris Godwin of the Buccaneers. Penn State, I believe, was second round, third round? Not first. He was on my first. I thought Chris Godwin was a bona fide first round pick myself. I'd overpaid for him. So Doug Davis says he refers to the historically bad division. Cowboy Wrestler adds, I like the Ravens' chances are good, especially since the Browns are on the verge of being a dumpster fire yet again. I saw that coming. Benjamin says, do you know who will have a chance to be the next head coach of the Washington Redskins? Well, the number one ranking person right now, according to Las Vegas bettors, is Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. Number two, believe it or not, is Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Bucks. He just got there. So hey, you know what? Whatever Byron's doing, he's singing that great song that a number of coaches, white, have known over the years how to sell yourself, how to get yourself in position, how to cultivate your relationships to get the job you want. Now, some of you may be upset that I'm mentioning color, but look, we have a history of racism that's beginning to subside, thankfully. We have to mark these occasions as they come up. Okay? Case in point, Byron Leftwich, who was at one point the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember that? Not too long ago either. But Byron made it known he wanted to be an offensive coordinator and I believe a head coach coming out. Focused, made the right connections, and look at where he is. But if he keeps screwing up with Jameis Winston, I am not going to be a fan of his for much longer. If it can be said that I really haven't been a fan of his, you know, in terms of like, oh yeah, give him the job, like Hugh Jackson. I was a big fan of Hugh's, right? Because Hugh knew a lot of different offense. But I am really concerned that Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, and Tom Moore, who was Peyton Manning's coach, are not serving Jameis Winston well. And I'm sorry to say that is the case because it's not what I would have predicted, and I didn't predict it at all. I still believe Jameis Winston has it within him to be an MVP this year, okay? I still believe that because, look, a lot of the reasons, you know this, that people are criticizing Jameis is that whole Erica Kinsman thing. They still believe he did that to her, when in point of fact he didn't, and so they want to crucify him. But rather than just say that, and it is a black-white issue, unfortunately, they come up with other things. Oh, and, you know, look, oh, he turns over the ball. Anything, any little thing he does that's wrong gets magnified because of that. Oh, and then there was the whole Uber thing with the driver that nobody bothered to breathalyze and see if that person was intoxicated, okay? So my point is, you know, and then Jameis let other people, and he lets the wrong people, and I have people that know him who agree to this. He listens to the wrong people, okay? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, but it's too late to do anything about what I am about to tell you. But Jameis Winston should have went to Stanford and not Florida State. If Jameis Winston had went to Stanford, he would emerge a different quarterback and a better one. And he wouldn't have gotten into the trouble that he's been associated with, which he did not do. One half of any bad situation in society is who you keep company with that gets you into that situation or don't. Okay? Some people didn't say because, you know, they don't have anybody around them or to tell them, which is the same thing. Okay? But if Jameis Winston had been under David Shaw at Stanford, he would have emerged a national star and I believe a close to national champion. Okay? Very much so. Continuing now, Frederick Williams says, I also know that Minnesota Vikings need a franchise QB because I don't think Kirk Cousins is the answer. But, why? I'm just curious. Kevin says, what about Byron Leftwich? I talked about him. Sean Watts says, what are the chances of us getting Odell? Why would we need him? I'm just asking, why do we need him? What can he do that we can't do by scheme? I'm just asking. Benjamin says Byron Leftwich would be an interesting choice. He would be. But what would he bring to the table schematically? I don't know. Eric Bieniemy. And isn't it cool that we could talk about Bieniemy versus Leftwich, two African-American offensive coordinators that are the top candidates? That's cool. Because now I can say, oh, you know, I think Bieniemy is better than Leftwich, right? Why? Well, the enemy's got the scheme that, he helped build with Andy Reid from Mahomes. And okay, you see what I'm getting at? Pedigree of schematics, man. Doug Davis says Jamarcus Russell. I'm not getting that. What do you mean? I know Jamarcus Russell's agent. I can have him on the show. Former agent. Cowboy Russ says Jimbo Fisher was not a great coach in my humble opinion. He was okay. I thought Jimbo, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing him at the NFL draft, was great for Jameis Winston to a point. But I think the point was that when Jameis became a rising star, when he became a star, and his second year after stardom, teams began to zero in on the weaknesses. I don't think he adjusted well, and it didn't serve Jameis well, because that's where Jameis developed that that knock that he was prone to throw interceptions. But Jameis' real problem is this: Jameis Winston doesn't want to get sacked, okay? And Bruce Arians has done, I think, the worst disservice to Jameis by putting him in situations where he gets sacked a lot. He did it in preseason. There was one particular drive where he was sacked like 3 or 4 times on the drive, and it was like that was preseason. It was like he was trying to teach Jameis to get hit. Well, you don't do that. You scheme your quarterback out of situations where they're getting hit a lot. That's not going to make him a better quarterback. I understand what he's trying to do because Jameis doesn't want to get hit, and so he winds up getting rid of the ball early. Take a look at his interceptions. And that's one thing that annoys me about the NFL Network. And that's why I sometimes think the NFL Network is trying to, plant the seeds where Jameis Winston is not the guy that you want to keep and all this stuff. And they even have the great Steve Smith, who I personally enjoy talking to and I think is a fantastic person. But I disagree with Steve regarding Jameis Winston. I saw Steve Smith at Silver's party at when the Super Bowl here was in Atlanta this year. Mike Silver is what I'm talking about. At any rate, nice, great guy. At any rate, I don't agree that Jameis is not worth $100 million. He is, okay. And there are a number of quarterbacks. Look, someone says, well, name, like they were having an argument about this on the NFL Network. Name a quarterback that has gotten $100 million but didn't take their team to deep in the playoffs. Well, okay, Derek Carr went once. He got $100 million. He went once and lost, but he got a bunch of money from the Raiders. So if he gets it, and he went 4-12 last year, why not Jameis Winston? They're both franchise quarterbacks. Jimmy G. Rob Iman points out Jimmy G. You got all these Pride and Purpose. Great comment by Pride and Purpose. Let's highlight this genius comment. I'm not being facetious. It's true. You buy your defense and draft your offense. You buy your defense and draft your offense. But see, if that's the case, then the Raiders did it sort of bass-backward. Sort of. Because they tried to buy much of their defense and much of their offense. And look what happened. Vontaze Burfict, gone. Antonio Brown, gone. You see what I'm getting at? So I look at it this way. The core of your team should be built through the draft. You go in free agency to fill holes. Roland Duke believes the opposite. State what you believe. Let me write it down so I don't incorrectly. I don't reflect your views incorrectly. Write what you are thinking. Pride and Purpose says that. Cowboy says amen. In other words, you buy your defense and draft your offense. So Roland Dubs, you're saying basically that you buy your offense and you draft your defense. And I think the Raiders are doing a lot of that. They're buying a lot of their offense. But I think arguably the Raiders are doing a mix in both sides, and that's the Mayock effect. Roland Dub says, I believe you draft defense and buy offense. See, I think your core should be young players. I call it the triplets mentality. That is, you get your star quarterback, your star running back, and your star wide receiver. You have them grow, and you build your schemes around them, okay? Professor 8B says, your thoughts on the 5-0 49ers? The 5-0 49ers are a great example of the kind of young nucleus we're talking about. That's a mix of people, of young players that all have one thing in common. Well, two things. A, they're young. B, they're fast. And appropriately placed, wildly crafty veterans. Wildly crafty veterans is a term that, if memory serves, Don Meredith came up with when he was the color commentator for Monday Night Football, the former Dallas Cowboys quarterback and legend. Wildly crafty veterans. Jimmy Garoppolo was the wildly crafty veteran, wildly crafty veteran at quarterback. Richard Sherman, the undeniable wildly crafty veteran in the defensive backfield, right? And then you mix them in with DeForest Buckner and new stars like Nick Bosa, who was reminded that, hey, nobody cares about your politics on the field. They just want to know that you can play, man. And you've got great, fast, big offensive line people who can get to the second level fast. And they do an excellent job of what I call under your pads blocking the Niners. Okay? You want to know what the Niners and the Packers have in common? They get off the ball fast. They don't waste time. Boom. They're gone. They're off the ball. Very efficient at executing their blocks because the schemes don't call for a lot of exotic movement by the line. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. If you're going to do that, at least make sure that you practice the timing. That's what makes Greg Roman a fantastic offensive coordinator. He was at Stanford. He is the NFL. Because he understands how, if you're going to have these pulls, counter trays, you have to have a counter move by the halfback to keep the defenders in place, to get the offensive lineman ability to go across the formation, and thereby when the running back is ready to come back the other way and take the handoff, the linemen are in place to get their hats on the chest to execute the block, open the holes by which the running back can run through on the point of attack side. Great offensive line blocking must go hand in hand with timing between the running back, the quarterback handoff, and where the line is. And the Niners do an excellent job at that. And that's why they win on offense. And then, of course, the defense is not just that they're quick, but that they're disciplined. They're not asked to do outlandish moves, and they don't take a lot of chances in terms of their alignments. They vary their alignments enough, however, so that you can't zero in and take advantage of one thing that they do, and that's it. That's it. Take a look at what the Niners do in terms of their coaches and how they are on the go during the game. Technicians consistently repairing, consistently fixing. That's why the Cardinals are 2 wins straight. And this is something Cliff Kingsbury was doing. I just heard something. Hold on. What was that? Hold on a second. That's odd. Or is it? No, I don't think that's it. I think I have something on. Hold on a second. Sounded weird, didn't it? Hold on a second. Let's see here. I think it's because I have something on over here. The neat thing is I have an audience. All right. Okay. Nothing. Phew. Nothing. No, it wasn't an old rotary phone. It was like a something. It was really faint. But at any rate, I got a million of them. Oh boy, oh boy. It is nice. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're 50 miles out. So anyway, but at any rate, the old yeah, the ghosts. Do they have them? I don't know. But you know what though? Hey, I'm telling you. Gotta have one of these things, man. You gotta. Because the neat thing about this deal is that you can actually sort of like, you know, reach out and go, ah! Or you can go, ah! Or you know what? You can. Oops. Hold on a second. Oh, do I think the Patriots will go to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I do. Hold on a second. Just showing you something. Where is that thing? Oh boy. I guess my grabbing isn't as good as I thought it was. There it is. Ta-da! Okay. So you can reach. Yeah, get you. All right. There. Now, what I want to find out is, yeah, the Patriots are definitely going to the Super Bowl, but let's play around with this, okay? I'm going to stick with my edict. If the Patriots win the next two games, they're definitely going to the Super Bowl. Is it raining outside? Hey, Google, what's the weather?
Right now in Fayetteville, it's 60 with showers.
Oh!
Monday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high of 79 and a low of 60.
That's what it is. It's raining outside. Okay, it's raining. Yeah, the Patriots do look unstoppable. They really do. Oh, by the way, folks, the other thing is when you're out here something else you should have aside from the other stuff, right? I highly recommend this. What is it? This is you should always have very powerful flash. That's what this is. A very powerful flashlight. So powerful that it can blind someone. So powerful that I've got two of these, actually technically three of these in the house. Got a lot of flashlights, okay? But I can shine this outside and it can light up the side of the house. This is what you want, because the whole point is if somebody's screwing around your property, you don't want to have you want to just get rid of them at a distance of like maybe an eighth or a mile or a 16th of a mile. You can point this, you can blind people. Okay. All right. And then you want to have the appropriate settings and everything else. That's all I'll say about that. All right. Now that everybody thinks I'm the Emperor of the North, back to football. Back to football. All right. Herb Leonard, Eric Young says, I wish it was raining here. Bay Area, right? Rob Ivan says, Chargers need to go to Tyrod. You know what the Chargers need to do is, if the Chargers want to win, they should go back to that linebucker running attack they had that they unleashed 3 games ago that was really racking up yards for them. And when they got their wins, right? But to me, it looks like they got away from that and they tried to really emphasize downfield passing rather than saying we're going to run the ball in an exotic way 60% of the time. It's like to me, they were setting the tone for having this exotic running attack, and then they got away from it. And it was like they were saying, okay, we're gonna show you that we can run without Melvin Gordon. And oh, by the way, we're gonna do it with these cool schemes, and you don't know what else we've got coming down the pike. Well, it's like they just had those schemes and maybe just sort of like, blew their wad and that was it, right? Rob Iman says, Charge need to draft a QB next year. They need to do that this year. Eric Young says, yep, stop those recent wildfires. Yeah. Cowboy Wrestler says, if the Chargers want to be successful in LA, draft Jalen Hurts. Oh boy. But if the Chargers draft Jalen Hurts, I don't know that Ken Wisenhunt. No, I'm not gonna take that away from Ken Wisenhunt, because Ken Wisenhunt has proven himself to be a pretty creative guy. So I agree with you. Jalen Hurts will be great for the Chargers, but the question is, do the Chargers want to fall low enough to where Jalen Hurts winds up in their lap? Okay. Now I'm hearing the raindrops now. That's what raindrops keep falling on your head. Hold on a second. It's not raining though. Okay. Yeah, it says showers, but it's not raining, folks. So, it's not raining right now. Yeah. All right. Chargers will never be an LA team. Nah, Chargers are a San Diego team. Chargers are definitely a San Diego team. Let me see what the NFL has this great list I wanted to read from you. It's called 7 from Sunday. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. 7 from Sunday, week 6. Let me read this to you. It's interesting. It's from NFL Media. A look at 7 statistical highlights from games played at 9:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock, with 4 o'clock and 4 o'clock today, or Sunday, yesterday, October 13th. With 2 games remaining in week 6, quarterbacks have rushed for 31 touchdowns during the 2019 season, surpassing 2002-28 for the most rushing touchdowns by quarterbacks through the first 6 weeks of an NFL season since 1970. Basically since the merger, okay? because that's when the merger took place. The AFL-NFL merger, if you don't know your NFL history. In week 6, quarterbacks have totaled 10 rushing touchdowns heading into the final 2 contests, surpassing week 13 of the 2015 season. This is done before Sunday night. Season 9 for the most in a single week since 1970. Minnesota wide receiver Stephon Diggs had 7 receptions for 167 yards. Wait. Oh, you know, that's the sound I heard. My chair. Okay. For 167 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Vikings' 38-20 win over Philadelphia. With 2 games remaining in week 6, there have been 5 individual performances of at least 3 touchdown receptions in 2019, tied with the 1992 season, 5, for the most such performances at this point in a season since 1970. In total, there have been 11 individual performances of at least 3 scrimmage touchdowns in 2019, tied with the 1983 season, 11, for the second most through the first 6 weeks of a season in NFL history. Only the 2015 season, 12, had more such individual performances at this point in a season. Carolina running back Christian McCaffrey and wide receiver Curtis Samuel each had a rushing and receiving touchdown in the Panthers' 37-26 win over Tampa at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. The London series continues in week 8 when the Cincinnati Bengals and Los Angeles Rams face off in Wembley Stadium. There's a lot here. I'm going to have to, you know what? I'm not going to read all this to you. This is long. You're not going to stand by and have me read all this to you. Look at this. This is like sheets of this stuff. Oh, man, look at that. Look at how much that is. That's a lot. Oh, man. You'll fall asleep. I don't want you to do that. Boring. Interesting, though. Not all of it's boring. I think I could like go through and pick off some interesting things. Like, hey, Deshaun Watson. Right? Deshaun Watson has 7,508 passing yards in 29 career games and tied Mark Bulger over 29 games, Pro Football Hall of Famer Dan Marino, 29, and Matthew Stafford, 29, as quarterbacks to reach 7,500 career passing yards in the second fewest games in NFL history. Only Pro Football Hall of Famer Kurt Warner has reached the mark in fewer games as 27 games than he needed to get to over 7,500 yards. And he was playing in a Mike Martz offense with Dick Vermeil as head coach. Go figure. New York Jets. How about the Jets beating the Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? He had 338 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 92-yard pass to wide receiver Robbie Anderson in the Jets' 24-22 win against Dallas. Wow. Someone picked Dallas in an upset. Not one among you. No, maybe it was one among you. I think it was one among you, sir, that did it. Because if it was one among you, sis, I would have heard it. You'd have reminded me by now, okay? Somebody picked them. Who was it? It wasn't you, Cowboy Wrestler. Gee, how you doing, man? Gee, ZK says Kansas City is done. Boy, he's ready to just say that. He's just got them cooked and everything. He's like, zzz. Yeah, we'll see. The Raiders have to beat them. You know that, don't you? You can't just give the Raiders the keys on the assumption that Kansas City is just going to fade away. Rob Ivan says, LA Coliseum was full of 49er fans today. You know, all that stuff between StubHub Stadium, Coliseum. You watch Vegas. You think all those fans are going to walk in there wearing silver and black? No. You don't know how many people in Las Vegas I talk to who tell me they're the fans of some other team? Think about it. Okay? These will not be your Oakland Raiders, folks. All right? They will not be your Oakland Raiders. You can what is it the late great Lon Simmons used to say? Lon Simmons, the great Bay Area radio sports announcer. Kiss it goodbye. Wow. Sad. Houston quarterback Deshaun Watson has passed for 280 yards and had 3 total touchdowns, 2 rushing and passing in the Texans' 31-24 win at Kansas City. They have these notable performances, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo passed for 243 yards in the 49ers' 27 win at the Los Angeles Rams. San Francisco advances to 5-0 for the first time since 1990. Garoppolo, making his 15th career start, improved to 13-2 as a starting quarterback and became the 8th quarterback in the Super Bowl era to win 13 of his first 15 career starts. That's pretty good. Atlanta quarterback Matt Ryan passed for 356 yards and 4 touchdowns in the Falcons' Week 6 loss in Arizona. Ryan, who has recorded at least 300 passing yards in each of Atlanta's first 6 games, joined Pro Football Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, 6, and Steve Young, 6, as quarterbacks with at least 300 passing yards in each of the team's first 6 games of a season in NFL history. Wow. Cheese says the Phillip Rivers era is almost done. And you know what? That would be sad. Does Phillip Rivers deserve a trip to the NFL Hall of Fame? I say yes. What say you? I'm waiting. Professor B says he's not surprised there are a lot of 49er fans in Los Angeles. He forgot to say fair weather. Roland Duke says no. Black Lion says yes on Phil Rivers for the NFL Hall of Fame. What say you? I should put up a poll here. Do a poll next time. All right, it is 2:02, folks, in the East. And so that means I'm going to go sleep. I want to thank you all very much for enjoying all this with me, and having my back, She says after the Dodgers fiasco, it's going to be upset fans in the Los Angeles market. LeBron better win a championship. What about Kawhi Leonard? Why not Kawhi? You got one, why not another? All right, hey, good night, everybody. Thanks a lot, man. See y'all later in the morning, people. See y'all tomorrow. Or is it today? All right. PG-13. That's funny. All right, thanks again. See ya. Good night. Good night, Oakland Raider Nation. See ya.